Before you listen to the Tech Talk Daily podcast, I have to ask, are the high levels of uncertainty you're experiencing keeping you from making bold moves? Are you able to clearly see and act on the game-changing opportunities the pandemic has created? I'm Daniel Burris, serial entrepreneur, global technology futurist, and disruptive innovation expert, and right now, you have a choice to make. You can react to problems and disruptions after they happen, or you can learn to accurately anticipate disruptions before they disrupt and identify and pre-solve problems before they happen, giving you the ability to turn disruptive change into your biggest advantage. If you want to take control of your future and make a significant impact now and in the years ahead, join thousands of leaders from around the world by becoming a member of my Anticipatory Leader System, where you'll get the latest insights, processes, tools, and virtual coaching that will give you the certainty and confidence you need to actively shape a better future for you and your organization. Go to techblogwriter.co.uk and click on Daniel Burris.
Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, do you remember when you could fly anywhere in the world? And as soon as your plane touches the ground, you either switch off data roaming on your phone because you don't have a package, or you have to buy a roaming pass to make sure you don't end up spending a fortune. When you are roaming and using data on a different mobile carrier to what you use in your hometown, did you know about the cumbersome process that goes on behind the scenes to reconcile those payments for all that data that you consume? Of course not. Why would you? But after today's episode, I promise you, you will. Because Clear is a blockchain-based settlement company transforming transactions for telecommunications company. And the reason I've invited them on today, because they appeared on my radar after last month. 3 of the world's largest telecommunications companies, Deutsche Telekom, Telefónica and Vodafone, successfully finalised a trial automated settlement of roaming discount agreements, all using a solution developed by Clear. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Israel so we can speak with Eran Haggiag from Clear. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
So my name is Eran Haggiag, one of the co-founders of Clear. I come from a vast technological background, started programming from the age of 7. I've been doing many different things around enterprise software, algorithmic trading, media, financial markets. And about 3 years ago, together with my co-founder, Gal Hochberg, we've started Clear to really solve the commercial trust automation problem between companies, especially big enterprises, and leveraging blockchain technology in order to solve this problem and take it into enterprise-grade type of architecture to allow really big giants to utilize it to convert their contracts into smart contracts. I'll talk more about it later. And it's been a hell of a ride since about 3 years ago. And we're enjoying almost every moment.
Love it. Well, they do say startup life is like a roller coaster ride of tremendous highs and tremendous lows. I'd love to hear more about that story. But before we talk about that and the technology, just to set the scene, can you tell me a little bit more about how the reconciliation of something like mobile roaming payments is a time-consuming, costly and manual process that often results in significant delays, especially around revenue recognition. But can you tell me more about that? Because it's something that I suspect a lot of people listening will be blissfully unaware of.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that many people have this image in their mind, seeing a finance floor in a big building of an enterprise company, seeing a lot of people typing in the computer and doing stuff that they don't understand, processing payments, getting invoices, approving them, disputing different amounts that are not the same, sending emails back and forth, and things are taking many days until they're getting settled and paid. So I think this is something that you see in almost every industry, financial industries, insurance industries, and this also resides in the telecommunication industry. The reason why this happens is because there is a lack of automation on this layer of intercompany commerce. And in this specific use case that we are working on roaming agreements within the telecommunication space, it exists like it exists in many other industries, where when you go and roam in a different country, when we are allowed to fly, and I can go now to London, I'll use my mobile phone and I'll make some calls and I will pay to my local provider. But then there is a settlement needs to be done between my local provider and the provider in the UK, whether it's Vodafone or any other partner that we worked with. And this happens on a massive scale, on hundreds of millions of subscribers moving, billions of subscribers moving around the world and creating this small payments that need to move from one telco to the other. This is where this big reconciliation is happening, where you need to reconcile all the traffic that was measured on one side with the traffic that was measured on the other side, and with all the complex agreement that exists between them. So you would think that this is very simple and you just need to pay per minute to the other party, but in reality, it's much more complex. Every big enterprise and a group of telco have a set of agreements with hundreds of others that have commitments. They have tiered discount. They have different balance and balance. A lot of models that define the delicate relationship, commercial relationship between the companies. And to reconcile all this information, it takes months. So by the end of the year, when all the data is gathered on both ends, teams of people in the back office and financial departments are reconciling this information. And towards the mid of next year, hopefully most of this is reconciled and settled. What we are doing is automating this process by converting contracts into smart contracts and having automatic reconciliation by reporting all the usage and having a single source of truth as an algorithm running on the DLT that allows you to make this reconciliation automatic. So I don't know if it was too complicated, the explanation, but this is kind of to set the scene of the area that we are working in.
No, that's perfect. And you've perfectly described the exact problem now. And I think that's a great opportunity to introduce to everyone listening to Clear now, which I believe is aiming to change the way telecoms operators interact with each other and moving from that manual paper-based process to a more algorithmic blockchain-based smart solution, essentially allowing them to interact seamlessly with fewer disputes and more time to focus on results. But can you expand on that a little?
Of course. So you said it very well. What we're trying to do now within the telecom space, but in our vision in many different type of industries and different type of wholesale environments, is to take this element of manual and costly work that comes from the lack of trust automation, because all the systems and all these calculations are siloed. So what happens is that in every company, they have either their own system or a vendor system, or most probably in many cases, just big complicated Excel files that are used to reconcile all this traffic and to calculate the contract result within each party. And this just takes a very, very long time. It produces a lot of errors and discrepancies because contracts are not updated in the same way. They are not kept in, it's not the same calculation method that each party understood how to translate what is agreed in the contract. The data that is coming in is not always complete, and sometimes it has errors, and sometimes it's measured differently. It has different time zones and different rounding algorithms. And all these complexities are creating this very long processes of manual reconciliation. What we've been doing is to create an automation layer that's allowed any two companies to convert their commercial contract into a smart contract. So it's basically an algorithm running on a blockchain environment with the exact same code on both ends. So there is no more two versions of the truth. There is now a single version of the truth running this contract logic. So that reduces the amount of discrepancies and disputes dramatically. Moreover, we allow very fast and ongoing reconciliation of aggregated and record level data that allows you to get fast alerts whenever there is discrepancies in the data, and also algorithms that make resolution of these discrepancies automatically. And finally, a tool that allows you to easily interact with your partner, negotiate disputes, and resolve them very fast. So by doing that, we reduce the amount of a process that usually take months to hours. And we've already done this successfully with very big operator groups in Europe. I'll talk about it probably later.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think the problem with any new solution, technology, product or service, no matter how great it is or how much you're solving a problem, a lot of it will be determined by the adoption of that platform or service. And that's what helps you solve that problem. And when I did a bit of research on you guys, I quickly learned that you've got 3 global industry leaders in telecommunications on board. And I think I'm right in saying this. We've got Spain's Telefónica, Deutsche Telekom, and the British provider Vodafone here in the UK have all jointly finalised a trial blockchain solution for the settlement of those roaming discount agreements. So can you expand on that? Because that feels like a huge win for you guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, it is. It was a hard work of our entire team together with the teams at these 3 operator groups. It just to mention that it's not with a specific opco, but it was on the group level. So that means that it's Vodafone handling many of the different opcos they have around the world. The same thing for Deutsche Telekom and for Telefónica. These are 3 huge groups that are operating many different opcos in different countries around the world. And this is they've all been our design partners to design this solution, and we've worked hard together with their teams. And the big win was that they finally used the system in a soft production environment, utilizing all the data from 2019 for all their opcos, inputting their contracts into the system, converting them to the smart contract using the system, and clicking the button to do this reconciliation, reaching a result that was with a very, very, very small difference from the result that they got from the long manual work that they had to do doing this in the current way that they do it. So a process that usually take for them, several months to resolve, actually with the click of a button gave them the result that is almost exactly the same. And that was a big win. They were very, very happy with the results. And this is a good booster for us for the adoption of this as a global ecosystem.
And I'm sure you're probably locked down to a widespread list of NDAs and you can't share any names, etc. But do you have any use cases that you could share that would just enable listeners to understand how the telecoms industry has benefited from Clear's solution and also the kind of tangible outcomes that have been following in these recent projects?
So before I touch that, I'll just mention you smartly said that to get a growing value out of this solution, you need to have more and more operators and operator groups joining. This is what we've been focused on in the last few months since this announcement that you just mentioned around this 3 telco giants in Europe. And not only that we are pushing this on the roaming side, but we've successfully worked in different other use cases around international voice traffic, around bandwidth on demand, and around the cloud reselling. So this is basically something that with the emergence of 5G is going to be extremely important. So if you look at surveys done with executives around 5G, you see that 2 of the most burning issues that they have around 5G is the ability to handle the growing and complexity and growing amount of partnerships that they're going to need to handle, and also to handle a complex rev share solution. And why is that? It's because 5G is going to be far more widespread in terms of use cases and tightly integrated into use cases like Industry 4.0, like XR, so AR, VR, gaming, healthcare. This is going to really transform the way that we consume technology. And to be able to do that, telcos will have to integrate with other providers, so with cloud providers, with edge providers, with different application providers, with resellers. So the complexity of the business relationship that they will have to execute is an order of a magnitude more than what exists today. Not only that there needs to be many different partners, they are not in the telecom ecosystem, and also the amount of parameters that needs to be agreed upon around SLAs, on latency, on bandwidth, and different things are going to also grow dramatically. To handle this complexity on the back office level, to be able to create these contracts and to be able to allow on-demand billing, to reduce the cycle, to recognize revenue faster, it needs a completely different type of platform and operating system to do so. And this is what we've been developing in the last 3 years and keep developing to be the best platform in this field. And these are the type of use cases that we see the most benefit coming. But even today, working on the roaming use case or the other use cases, we can already see a massive decrease of need in manual work, in errors, and in complexity.
And if we have anyone listening in the telecoms industry or just techies, incredibly interesting on how you're doing what you're doing here, can you walk me through how it all works and a little bit more about the solution and how to get it up and running?
You know, they say that the good solution you can explain in simple terms, although it's very complex. Yeah. So I would say the technology is quite complex, and I can get into that. But we had to solve a lot of the problems around blockchain that fits to the enterprise. We had to make the blockchain very scalable. So taking it from hundreds of transactions to tens of thousands of transactions successfully, to make it fully secured, enterprise grade, to support privacy around GDPR and other privacy. We are also a SOC 2 compliant company. And we had to solve a lot of technical problems around creating a multi-ledger support so that we are not bounded to a specific blockchain, but we work with different blockchain solutions. But if I want to get into the simple terms of how we do this, basically every company install a node. It's a set of servers that we have an installation for. And what it does, it defines the contracts that it wants to work on this node. The other party needs to approve them. And then it just sends data of usage. It's like log files of usage into its own node. Both parties are doing that. And the system automatically reconciles between the system. Whatever is reconciled successfully is immediately going to payment. And whatever is left with a discrepancy is going to be handled with our dispute resolution module. So this is like in very simple terms.
One of the other things I always try and do on this Daily Tech podcast is show the story behind a company and where the inspiration came from. So when you're looking at blockchain technology, there was probably 101 problems you could have gone out there and tried to solve. But what was it that made you believe that the telecoms industry was the perfect fit for automated payment and contract solutions, and how that could transform how companies interact with each other? Because there must be a story behind that belief then.
Absolutely. So the first question is why we've chosen settlement as a solution to solve with blockchain, because you can use blockchain to solve many things in the enterprise. You can solve identity problems. You can solve payment problems. So we've decided to solve settlement because we've seen this is kind of a huge problem that is quite hidden. So the amount of money that is spent within organizations on this huge financial organizations, on the errors, on the late payments, on the lack of flexibility of companies to be able to execute new business models fast because of the kind of the slow, rigid structure of the current manual processes are huge. And this is just growing. So we see that this is a huge opportunity. Also, on my personal experience working in different areas of algorithmic trading and financial markets and within the edtech industry, I've seen that while there is a lot of automation put into the front office and automating the trades, the back office work is still happen mostly manual and with the number of FTEs need to work on. So together with my co-founder Gal, we've decided to tackle this problem in a generic way and to build an engine and kind of an operating system to solve this problem on a grand scale on a multi-vertical approach. Now, having this in mind, having this vision of getting this operating system for commercial trust information across many industries all around the world, we've looked at different industries and see that the telecom industry is in a very special situation. With the emergence of technologies of both 5G and IoT, with edge compute starting and being predicted to be bigger than the current cloud market, we're seeing a massive opportunity for telcos and companies around them in the next decade. And we can see that telcos also see that and keep growing the investment in 5G, just doubled in 2020 on 5G infrastructure. But the missing component that we've seen that telcos have is the ability to handle the commercial relationship in a dynamic and flexible way, to create a lot of new relationship, not only with other telcos, with app providers, with platform providers, with orchestration providers, with edge systems. To do so, there is need to be a complete evolution and revolution in the way that telcos are transacting with this ecosystem. And we've seen on surveys on 5G that one of the biggest problems that people are now stating is how hard it is to manage all these partnerships, how hard it is to create rev share solutions that will work automatically. And together with many of the big telcos, VC arms like Deutsche Telekom, Telefónica, Singtel, and Hong Kong Telecom, that are all pushing together to help us gain mass adoption within telecom, which is our first and foremost target. As you mentioned, to generate the value that we want to maximize it, we need as much as these giant telcos on the network, and this is what we're working on.
And I'm curious, at a time where businesses are all asked to do more with less, are you noticing an increase from your customers wanting to make their operations faster and more transparent while also allowing players to focus resources on what matters most? Because there does seem to be a big shift going on at the moment. And I was just wondering if you guys were seeing that.
Yeah, so we can definitely feel that the interest in automation is growing. The interest of creating new infrastructures for business models are growing. The interest to create ecosystems and platforms are growing. We definitely see this. We see that there is a stronger uptick in interest in our platform, both from the situation and also from our recent PR about the success of using the system. And we think this is just the beginning. We're just seeing the tip of the iceberg as 5G is going to come to front stage with the kind of 5G core being implemented, and then really the capabilities of 5G being exposed. We think that we're going to see a huge uptick in the interest and adoption of this technology.
And as for you guys at Clear, what's next for you? Is there anything that you can share about the road ahead and your primary focus for the next 12 months and beyond?
There are a lot of things happening. We will definitely be sharing soon some of the development. But I would say we will keep working hard with our current customers and our new customers to make them happy. We will work hard to keep expanding the ecosystem. We'll keep working hard with all the standardization bodies that are very important in creating the standards that will allow interoperability and fast adoption and openness to make this a truly industry-wide and then later on intra-industry solution. And we'll keep investing in our R&D to make the system more stable, more secure, and more flexible to be able to handle the complexities of the demands of our customers.
And for anyone listening that would just like to follow your progress and find out more information about what you're doing, what's the best way of doing that? Could you just point everyone in the direction of the best places to follow you online?
Yeah, so I think our LinkedIn account is a great place. We do have constant news updates there, as well as our Twitter account. I would recommend both of those as the best way to follow us. You can always visit our website if you want to do more of an in-depth learning around the company. And from time to time, we have an interesting Medium post, so stay tuned.
Well, I love what you're doing here and how you've came across a problem. You've used technology to solve it and bringing on some big companies as well and securing that adoption to ensure your future success. It's a great story. As any startup founder knows out there, it will continue to be a roller coaster ride of tremendous highs and tremendous lows. But more than anything, just a big thank you for coming on here and sharing your story with me today.
Sure. I'm very happy to. Thank you for the opportunity.
So a big thank you to Eran for sharing the reconciliation of mobile roaming payments and how it is a time-consuming, costly, manual process that results in major delays in revenue reconciliation and discrepancies between partners on invoice. Not to mention the high costs in disputes that follow. For example, the WEF estimates commercial disputes in this area cost up to 870 billion per year. I'll say that again, 870 billion. As a solutions, not problems kind of guy, for me, I just loved hearing how clear it is changing the way telecoms operators interact with each other and enable them to move from a manual paper-based process to an algorithmic blockchain-based smart solution that allows them to interact seamlessly, but with less disputes and more time to focus on the results. But if you're working in the telecommunications industry, you'll know more about this than a generalist such as myself. So please email me your thoughts, insights, questions, whatever they may be, to me at techblogwriter@outlook.com. You get me on Twitter or Instagram at Neil C. Hughes and LinkedIn, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did and you learnt a little bit about those data roaming charges that we've all encountered at some point. But I'm afraid we're at the end of another episode. So I'll be back tomorrow with another guest. But a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.